This is me. I'm Tara Connolly. I am with the Division of Human Resource Management, and I have been a state employee for a couple months shy of 29 years. And I love my job. I love being a state employee, and I'm super happy to be here. We have a couple of housekeeping items I'm going to share with you right now, and then we'll share with you again at the very end of this as well. So just so that you know, we do have a YouTube channel, and this is where all the off-the-shelves get published, but it also includes some older videos, and we will start posting YouTube shorts, leadership topics, management topics, just quick videos. Those will be online. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, those will show up in your YouTube feed. So we encourage you to do that. And then just as a reminder, we don't ever have off the shelf in July, but our next one will be August. And this one is going to be really great. This is Dr. Dan Chase is going to be doing that session, and he will be talking about servant leadership and how we can work to build trust as we serve our team and as we actively listen and engage with them, and all of the positive things that can happen when we focus on serving others. Okay, those are our housekeeping. So we are going to just get started. Now, I tried something new today. Normally I go into the office, but then that only gives me one screen. And so today I tried to do this from home, and now I feel like I'm doing this type of a thing. So I don't know what's better. But so I'm going to try really hard to focus forward so you can see me. All right, here's the description of what we're going to cover today. And this is what you got. This is why you all signed up, and I'm super happy that you're here. Here is our outline. And what I really wanted to do today was start off with the science about why team building activities are important. Then I want to talk about the strategy, about how do you make these, how do you plan these? And then finally, the situation. How do you do it? Now, I'm saying this, and I'll probably say it multiple times. At the end of this, when you get sent the recording, you will be sent this slide deck. This slide deck has links to hundreds and hundreds of activities. And so as I talk about things today, recognize that everything I talk about is going to be included in a link in the slide deck that you can go in and look at later. You'll get a copy of the slide deck. And also, there's a lot of stuff I'm not going to talk about, and those will also be in links. So this slide deck will give you a lot of resources as you start planning team activities, team building activities, and exercises, things that you want to do to build up your team. So let's jump right in. We are starting with brain science and the science about how it works. And the reason I wanted to start with this is we have a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot, but we do have some who say, man, team building is a waste of time, or, oh, that's so cheesy, I don't want to do it. Or we have people who say, I don't want to do team building because then I can't be productive. Or I don't want to put that in place because I need my team to focus. Well, yes, and team building does not mean that you can't still have people be productive and accountable. Team building exercises and this opportunity to have fun is something that you can do in addition, and it actually increases productivity. So we've got to be intentional. We want to be playful. We want to unlock creativity and innovation and de-stress and all those fun kinds of things. So this is why. This is the science behind it. So when people ask you, here you go. My favorite person who, if I ever get those questions like, who would you, if you could have dinner with anybody in the world, living or dead, who would it be? This is who it is, Karen Purvis. Dr. Karen Purvis was the director of the TCU Child Development Program until her death in 2016. And so I took a bunch of classes with her, and she wrote a book and has written multiple books, but in one book, she has said, and the research has shown, that it takes 400 repetitions in order for us to build that new synapse in the brain. Unless we're doing it with play and fun, then it's only 10 to 20. So what that means is a synapse is, think of it like a path. So if you're up in the mountains and you're hiking and you're like, I'm going to go off-roading or whatever the term is, and you go across a field where there's not a path, the first time you go across it, it's not very strong and the wind can blow the weeds back up and all that kind of stuff and you lose it. And the more you go over this road, this path, it turns from a little teeny, marker to a big path, to a road, to a freeway, highway, freeway, interstate. I don't know how those grow. And so that's what you want, those synapses, so that when you learn something, it goes, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. And that road happens. And so when you're having fun and you're playing, you only have to do that 10 to 20 times to learn that new thing. So first part, awesome. How many of us want to learn something new? How many of us want to have fun? How many of us want to learn things that are faster and easier because we're doing it through fun? So that's the first part of the science. The next part is, let's talk about brain waves. And I have been fascinated with how the brain works for many years, hence the classes I took at TCU back in 2012 and 2013. So let's talk about what happens in our brain when we have fun. And first of all, let's talk about brain waves so that you can understand where I'm headed with this. We have gamma waves. So when we get an EEG, so a medical provider does, looks at the electrical activity in our brain. And we have gamma waves. So gamma waves, this is like super uber focus. This is our peak cognitive performance. Then we get into beta waves, and these are things that where we're using logic and reasoning and cognitive function. We're focused, we're aware. This is the state where we can actively problem solve. And this is usually the state we're in at work, because this is where we're super focused and we're working and we're trying to solve things. Then we have alpha waves, and this is when you're relaxed and you're calm and your stress is reduced. And then we have theta waves, and this is daydreaming, looking out the window, spending time in nature. And then finally delta waves, and this is when you're in the deep restorative sleep. So I want you to think about when you have your very best ideas, where are you? When you have those aha moments, where physically are you? How many of you thought like, oh, I was in the shower, I was sleeping and I woke up at 3 a.m. and came up with something. I was exercising. I was somewhere other than work when I came up with my best ideas. And there's a reason for that. In a study by Harvard Business Review, Duncan Wardle surveyed 15,000 people, and not a single person said they got their best ideas when they were at work. What does that tell us? Oh my gosh, but there's a good reason. That's because in order to come up with good ideas, we've got to be in an alpha and theta wave mindset. I don't know. Our waves need to be alpha or theta waves. And when we're working, we're in beta waves. So we've got to find a way to allow our brain to wander and to get our ideas to flow. And that's what team exercises, fun, that's what that does. So building on that, when we have the EEGs, let's talk about how our brain works when we laugh, just so I'm giving you the full picture here. So when we get a joke, when we have a joke told to us, our entire brain has to work together to fully appreciate it. So when you hear the joke, this is your left hemisphere that processes the words. Then your frontal lobe gets involved with some emotions, and then your right hemisphere starts processing a pattern. Then your occipital lobe starts increasing activity, and then your brain falls into delta waves, which is what we want, right? That's a good sleep. That's a good refreshing in your brain. And then you start shooting dopamine and happiness and endorphins, and then you laugh. So what's fascinating about this is that laughter is the only emotion where it happens in multiple places in our brain. Usually typical emotional responses, sadness, depression, friendship, all those type, love, affection, those are in different centers of our brain. So when we laugh, it has to ping pong and circuit through all of those. which I think is fascinating. So when there's laughter, when there's joy, this is something that is a great benefit for us. And it's something that all of our entire brain has to work on. So I love that idea. So I'm going to have you do something. I'm a little nervous. I'm having you do several things today. So would everyone come off mute? Everyone that's willing, come off mute. And what I'd like you to do is, and I may echo, that's my problem with my speakers here, but so let me turn this down a little. I want you to come off mute, and I want everybody to close your eyes, and I want you to think about, how do you feel in your body right now? Bored, excited, happy, sad, normal, apathetic, whatever. Just get the, feel how you feel. Okay. So now I want you to open your eyes. And for the next 5 seconds, I want you to hearty belly laugh out loud. Take a laugh. Okay? All right. Now, I want you to notice how you feel. Do you feel different now? Did your endorphins kind of kick in? You feel less stressed, hopefully. And chances are you probably started laughing for real. Nope. And that's what London, University College of London has found, that if you start with fake laughter, it will turn into genuine laughter, which will then have the same experience in your body. So that term, fake it till you make it, that's kind of, when we talk about laughter, that works. That works. So make sure you've muted yourself again. I think everybody probably did. So let's talk about this science. This science is called gelatology. One of the benefits of working from home is dog hair. Anyway, sorry about that, you guys. I have like this, whatever. Okay, so let's talk about gelatology. So this is, I love this term because it sounds like jello. It's not. It's from the Greek god of laughter, Gelos. So gelatology is an actual study of laughter and what happens in your body when you laugh. This is something that has been studied since the 1960s and started at Stanford University. And these are all of the benefits that come from laughing. Now, this is the key though. I've put on here mirthful laughter. So if you don't know what mirth means, mirth is joy. This is amusement. This is humor. So it's not divisive, mean, evil laughter. It is when things are really funny and joyful and humorous. So when we feel that, we get dopamine, we get endorphins, and then that helps us feel happy. We have all these other things that we get from that as well. There's so many things that laughing can help us with. So not only does laughing help us physically, but it helps us be more creative, helps us get into a place where we can visualize, we can dream, we can think of innovative ideas, and we bond and connect with other people because we're in that state where we're so much more open. So that's why team building exercises are super important. And so we're going to shift. We're going to talk about the strategy, about what you do, because now you get the science, you know why it's important. And recognize that moderation is needed, right? I'm not saying everything at work should be laughing and fun and play. That's not reality. We want to strike a happy balance. And I want you to focus on your own team. So here's the really good news. Team building exercises don't have to be like these huge activities. It doesn't need to be like a week-long retreat to Hawaii, unless somebody wants to pay for me to go there. But really it's, how do you do this every single day? And how can you do small activities that can have really big results, as well as larger ones as well, for like retreats and things like that. A lot of times that's what we think. When we think of team building, we think, oh, it's for a retreat, but that's really not the case. It's for every single day. So strategy. First part is know your team. So think about your team. Do you know them? Do you know what they like? Do you know what they don't like? Do you know what their comfort zones are? Do you know how far out of their comfort zone is too far out? And so as we talk about activities and as you start planning activities, before you just jump in and say, okay, we're gonna, just blindly do these activities I'm talking about, take a minute and think about your team and process what would be beneficial for them or what they might enjoy. So for example, you might have introverts and extroverts. So extroverts or people who like to be loud in the center of attention might really enjoy big boisterous activities, where those who are introverts might want to have something that's more anonymous or where they don't need to be the center of attention. Something to think about. If you have a bunch of people on your team who really love exercise and hiking and all of that kind of stuff, and you plan like, hey, we're gonna go do this hike, we're gonna hike Bridal Veil Falls or something, and then you have people on your team, others that are like, actually, no, I don't wanna be in the sun and I don't have good enough shoes, or whatever their reasoning is. You've got to figure out, how do you adjust to make something that's going to be beneficial for everybody? And so maybe if you're doing some big like sporting activity and there's people who don't want to participate, maybe is there another role they can play? So can they, do the stopwatches? Can they be a moderator or a judge or a cheerleader or something? So find a role for everyone on the team. Otherwise it's exclusive or it excludes people. You want to be inclusive. So if you've got some big activity, make sure that it meets everybody's needs and there's a role for all of them. We're going to talk about remote, hybrid, and in person, but I want you to think about individual contributions versus team contributions. So have you ever been to a team retreat or a team building activity, and it's like an obstacle course, for example, and you go in and it's individuals competing against individuals for individual prizes? That doesn't foster team building. That focuses on individual strengths, which sometimes can still be fun and can still be enjoyable. I'm not saying don't do those. And recognize that that's what that is for. That is an individual competition. So how can you then shift that into, I want to have team building competitions? What are the things we can do as a team where we are working together rather than competing against each other? So those are some strategies to think about. So you're looking at your team size, their interests, their comfort zones, and maybe you want to get them out of their comfort zone a little bit, and that's okay too. So consider those things as you move forward. Additionally, you really want to be intentional. Kind of be mindful of your team's time, especially if they're like, I think team building exercises are lame. They're cheesy. So you need to push through that, help them understand the science, and help them understand that the more you do these things, the more you show that you care about each other, you connect with each other, you're building relationships, higher job satisfaction. So Gallup, who is the organization that does all of the engagement surveys, they've been doing them since 1999 worldwide. They have some amazing data. And what they have found, that individuals who have friends at work, especially those who say they have best friends at work, are 7 times more likely to exhibit workplace enthusiasm and high performance. Those are things we want. So how can we build friendships? How can we build that? That is, it's not enough to say, well, we come to work and we do our work. Yeah, we want to have friendships because that actually increases what we do at work. That increases our productivity. That increases the desire for us to be there and work with each other, raises morale. So think about that type of stuff if people are pushing back. And then I want you to include people in your planning. Ask your team. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but involve them in the planning process. Have they experienced activities before that worked really well or didn't work well? Do they have ideas that might be something beneficial? Do you know what their preferences are? Talk to them. And there may be some people who are like, actually, I just want to do work-related stuff. I don't have any desire to do personal things. So how can you tailor to meet more of that kind of stuff? I have so many examples for you. I hope I'm gonna get time for all of them. Okay, so, and then make sure you have some ground rules. It's really beneficial to have, ground rules like, give a chance for everybody to speak, no interruptions. You just want to be organized. The other thing I will tell you about this, which people hate, I hate, because I don't want to give it up, Encourage your ground rules should really encourage, get rid of cell phones, get rid of phones, get rid of laptops. In order to build true team building exercises and activities, people need to be present and they need to be focused. And you cannot focus if you're multitasking. And I hate it because I love my phone so much. I could spend all my time on my phone. And so just recognize that that's something the science has shown over and over again. Get rid of phones and laptops and other distractions, electronic distractions, when you are trying to be intentional about team building. And then remember that you set the tone. People will follow your direction. If you're, being negative, if you're sighing, if you're, this is so dumb, or we're not gonna have time for other things, people will pick up on that and will follow you. So as the leader, set the right tone. And then here's my last piece about being intentional before we get into some actual activities. So we have, I think a lot of you have probably heard this before, the what, so what, and now what. So let me back up just a little bit. We can have activities that are just fun, where we just go and we laugh and we have fun and it's a good time. And that's beneficial. We can also have activities that have a message, a moral, a lesson, something that people are learning that then they can translate into when they get back to the office. This is what we can do. So for example, how many of you remember the Oregon Trail game? Am I dating myself by saying that? Yeah. Oh, I'm seeing all the thumbs up. Okay, Oregon Trail. Or some simulation problem solving game, something like there's a moon crash and a moon landing crash. How do we survive it? Or you're on an Arctic expedition. How do you survive it? These opportunities, these provide people on your teams opportunities to work together to solve problems. And so if you're doing that after you play the game, then you need to debrief. You need to help people see why what they learned is important. So I've given you in this slide deck, you will have a link directly to where you can find some of these questions. So this is Terry Borton in the 1970s created this, and then it's been used in multiple formats and scientific as well as mental health, as well as leadership. So it's what, so what, now what? So in your discussion, when you debrief, what happened? What did you experience? And keep people on a very objective, non-judgmental, just like, this is what happened. Have that discussion. Then, so what? Okay, so based on that, so now what kinds of things? You're analyzing it. What occurred? What patterns did we find? What conclusions did we come up with? It's a way to just get people thinking. And then once they find those things, then you do the now what, which is, okay, based on those patterns, now what are we going to do? When we get back to the office, how can we implement this? We learned we need to communicate better. We need to be more clear in our communication. So now what do we need to do? So this is an opportunity for you to just debrief and reinforce a lesson that people have learned. So again, in this slide deck, you will have a link to a whole bunch of generic questions that you can ask in each one of these categories. Then you can take those and kind of, move them how you need to, tailor them to what you're doing. All right. Oh, this is the part I think most of you thought we would probably start with this. This is the situation. This is, okay, here's the activities. Here's some things we can do. And this is going to be the remainder of this hour that we have together, or maybe less than an hour. I'm not sure how this will go. But this is, how do you do it? So as we start talking through, and as I share these activities, I want you to think, how can I implement this? What would I need to tweak? Or, man, I don't want to implement that at all. And also, if you're going to implement it, how is this going to improve my team? How will this make things better? How will this increase communication, friendship, relationship building, connection, anything, collaboration, all of those types of things? I want you to think about what is that? So again, some of these can be really easily implemented and others are going to take time because we'll talk about retreats, but we're talking about all kinds of things you can do daily, weekly to build your team, these team building exercises. I'm really going to focus today. There's so many that we already all know, but I'm really going to focus on things that maybe you haven't thought about, or things that the research has showed are really bang for your buck type activities. All right. So I've broken this out into remote and hybrid, and then I've broken it out into in person. But it doesn't matter. Some of these things you can do virtual or you can do in person. So there is a crossover. So as I talk about them, don't say, oh, well, I can only do that if we're online. No, you can readjust. Okay. So we've got remote and hybrid teams. We have a lot of people that work off site or that only come in a couple days a week, or maybe they're rural employees, so they only come up to the Wasatch Front office once a month or whatever it might be. So we have a lot of people that we're trying to build connection with that we're not in person. And it is difficult. It can be, but you can overcome it. You can definitely overcome it. So the first thing I would have you do is at the beginning of every staff meeting, make time for chat. Actually put it on your agenda. Say for 5 minutes, we're going to just do personal conversation. Hey, what's going on? You know, build camaraderie. People who want to participate will participate. If people don't want to share, like Tanya shared the thing about her shirt before we started today, that was awesome. And that wasn't anything super personal, just a quick, funny story. But it builds camaraderie and it builds relationships, and that's what we really want. Okay, the next one is icebreakers. And oh my goodness, I know that so many of us hate icebreakers. These are get to know you exercises, but there's a reason why we have them. It's because this is an opportunity. As we do these team building activities, we are trying to build. We are working on building relationships. We're working on having fun. The more fun we have, the more relationships we build. And the more relationships we build, the more we're willing to be happy and excited to come to work, the more productive we are. It all works together. So as we are learning more about each other, icebreakers are really great. So there's icebreaker activities. I've got a link to tons of icebreaker activities. And then there's icebreaker questions. And there's an icebreaker question generator that I've got a link for you as well. So I'm going to ask you, let's do one right now. This is different. I did this for my team yesterday, for our team, and we were having lunch together yesterday, and I asked this question, and half of them were like, this is dumb. And that's okay too. I just like it. So I want you to put in chat, what superpower would you give your arch nemesis, your main enemy? So if you had to, normally we say, what superpower would you have? So put in chat, what superpower would you give your arch enemy? Empathy, kindness, oh my gosh, compassion, love for others. Oh my gosh, you guys are so much better. Basic human respect, the ability to praise others, hugs, disappearing, I like that one. Common sense, stupidity, self-awareness, acceptance. The ability to fly, but only 1 foot off the ground. Oh, I love that one. Crying, ability to fly. I love all those. Sense of smell, but only for bad smells. Perpetual gas. I love it, Chris. Find every corner with their shin. Oh, you guys see, these are great. So now the benefit of asking this, I'm loving, look at all these people who have really good, positive empathy. Their phone number pops up when they are negative so people can call and tell them they're being rude. Oh, that one is good. Okay, so when we do this, we can laugh with each other. We learn things about each other, like all these people who are saying empathy and happiness and ability to feel other people's feelings. Wow, what does that tell you about them? Because all I'm thinking about is I'm going to give them the power to, their superpower is they turn into an earthworm. And then I'll turn on the sun or the light and they'll be dead, right? So I went really negative. Other people went really positive. So this is an opportunity to reveal parts of ourselves and build bridges, and that was nothing that was personal. That was we didn't have to share personal things, about like when I was 7 years old, and, we're not doing that. We were just doing some fun things. I love that one. Okay, so the next one is the artifact exercise. And this is like a show and tell. Hey, come to the next meeting, and it's going to be, Brooke, it's your turn next meeting. I want you to bring something that represents something you're proud of. And then it gives you an opportunity to talk about it, to have people ask you questions, because we build trust and empathy and connection with people when we see that they are passionate, that they're confident, that they have things they enjoy, and we can learn from them. So this is an opportunity to get all of that kind of stuff. And the other side of that is, or the easier one is, show me something on your desk that makes you happy, that brings you joy. So if I were to do that, can you guys all see this? I don't know where to put that so you can see it. This is my rock-topus. I love the rock. Love the rock. And this was made for me, 3D printed, a coworker's son. I think, Greg, is your son 10? I think he's 10 when he made this for me. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's so cute. It makes me so happy. So that's something like, then you guys could ask me, if we were on a team, okay, why? Why do you love the rock? Or what is it? Is it because it's an octopus, or is it because, like, you can have that discussion. So this is a really great benefit, a great way to just, get to know people. You can do sound safaris. We see this on radio stations all the time, where they make a noise, record a noise, and then people have to guess what it is. Something easy. Lateral thinking puzzles. Now, these are kind of fun because I never really had heard of these before or heard them in this tense. But what was hysterical is as I was doing research for this, I found multiple references to why lateral thinking puzzles are actually super beneficial for team building. So a lateral thinking puzzle is, there's not really a right or wrong answer. It's more about being creative in your answer. So I will have a link that has like 150 of these. And so let me give you one. And I want you to tell me put it in chat. Let's see, here's my riddle for you. A man pushes his car until he reaches a hotel. When he arrives, he realizes he's bankrupt. What happened? So anybody want to either come off mute or put it in chat what you think happened? He got robbed. I like that one, Anne. Steven, how did you get it already? And Barton, look at you guys. Monopoly, he's playing Monopoly. His car is the piece that he's playing with, and he goes and lands on a hotel square, and he doesn't have the money to pay the fee. So he's playing a board game. Love it. Look at you guys. That was you got that way too fast. So recognize that there's those things there. This is a great opportunity for you just to like engage in new ways and discussions. Now, interestingly, this specific activity, there was a study done at Harvard that if you spend the first 5 to 10 minutes of staff meetings doing lateral thinking puzzles, that it actually increases people being on time to meetings because they don't want to miss it. So if you're struggling with like, man, no one ever shows up on time, maybe do some lateral thinking puzzles at the beginning. So something to think about. Let's talk about maps. Oh, sorry, I gotta hurry. I have so much stuff. I'm so excited about all of this. Okay, so let's talk about collaborative maps. These are things like, if people don't want to get really personal, you could have a Google map where people put pins in, like, this is where I live, or this is where I went to college. This is where I build my evil lair. You know, like, you can make it fun, but it's a way that you don't have to give real personalized, if people want to be more, keep their personal life out of work, because some people do. Let's talk about virtual water or food tasting. Oh my gosh, this is so silly, but this is what my daughter and I do, where we'll go and we'll get like all different types of water, glacier, melt, purified, 7-Eleven, electrolyte, whatever. And then we spend time and we try each one of them and decide which one we like and why do we like it. Or we might get all the different flavors of Reese's peanut butter cups, or all the different flavors of Twix, or all the different flavors of Fizz, and try them and then have a discussion. It's silly, but it's fun and it brings people together and it helps people communicate. So that's another fun one. What would you do is just something where, and I've got a ton of these questions. It's like silly stuff. You can do it with real stuff or with silly things. Like, will you wake up and you only have the ability to talk to squirrels, but only squirrels. So now what? Or you can do it about work-related stuff. If you find somebody and you don't know what their name is, now what do you do? So it's just a thought process, and then people can vote on which one they think is the best. And then Picasso, oh my gosh, I love this one so much. This is, you're in a meeting and you can't look at your paper and you have to draw your coworker. And then it looks like Picasso at the end. It's fun, laughter, all these things, super fun. All right, so let's talk about in-person teams. This one, oh gosh, how many of these? Just recognize you're getting this slide deck. So I may be skipping through a few of these so that we get out of here on time. I really want to focus on this one, on eating lunch together and having food be part of your experience. And there is serious research, recent research from Cornell University, that when teams eat lunch together or eat meals together, eat some type of food together, that it actually increases collaboration and communication and trust, which seems so odd, but I want you to think about this. If you think of your romantic partner, if your romantic partner was on the phone talking to their ex or was having lunch with their ex, which one is more hurtful? Eating the meal. And that's what studies have found. So Cornell took this even further and said, okay, let's go look at firefighters and find out why it's so beneficial. They all eat together, and it's because someone's planning the meal, someone's cooking, someone's cleaning. Everyone has to take a different part, a different role, and you're having the opportunity. And then it's an intimate act to eat and someone else is eating. That's something we do in our personal lives. That's something we do with our families. That's something that we do that builds relationships. So eating a meal with someone is really important. This does not mean you have to go to Lakai or somewhere super expensive. You can just, everybody bring your lunch and eat in the break room. This is an opportunity where people, again, when you're eating, your brainwaves are down in that theta level, which is where you can be creative and fun and enjoy and come up with ideas. You're relaxed, you're thinking. And so that's why eating with coworkers is super important. You can exchange expertise like lunch and learns. You can do tackling creative challenges together like escape rooms, or like the Picasso thing I just told you about, service projects. And maybe you have an extra office or cubicle in your area where you can put games, where you can put relaxation, meditation music and a beanbag chair or something, where people can go and move into those theta and those brainwaves that we really want. So we just want to do that. Maybe you want to do Hungry Hippos and Monopoly and fun things you did as a kid. In DHRM, I hope this isn't breaking a confidence, we have Scrabble tiles and we have a tabletop cornhole game, that kind of just sits in the middle of the room. So as you walk by, you can spend some time. I love it. It's a great thing to do. So now let's talk about retreats. I only have one slide about retreats. And that's because the importance of team building exercises is not only once a year or twice a year. Most agencies have 1, maybe 2 retreats a year. That is not enough to build team building. You've got to be working on it all the time. So let me talk to you about team retreats just very quickly. Okay, we're going to get through all of this. I swear, we're going to. I keep saying that. You guys don't know how much is on here. It all works. Okay, so let's talk about retreats. One of the most interesting things about retreats is it needs to be offsite. And there is a reason I put the word offsite on there, because that's how I want to kind of refer to it, is that the research shows that in order, because remember, we're trying to get people in those brain waves where they can be creative, where they're more welcome, open to connection, and where they want to be relaxed and stress is reduced. Having a retreat in the same building where people work, like a conference room, is not a retreat. It does not do the same thing as if you go off-site. So I encourage you to go off-site when you can. Now, I'm not saying go pay something, but can you do it at a park? Can you do it at someone's house? Can you do it, you know, a conference room in a different building? You know, something where people have to go outside of the office. That will help. And then the other thing is, so many times we have a retreat and all we do is focus on what our objectives are as leaders. We think, okay, we got to talk about the strategic plan. We need to set some goals. I need to let people know about this. And we treat it like a meeting and something where we're just passing down information. And what I want to encourage you to do is to involve your team in the planning and make it about them. What do they want? And be intentional about it. So send out a poll, ask them, what do you want to get out of this offsite? What are the things that you want to learn? So I have a few things on here. You've got, if you have people that are stuck in silos and maybe they, or cliques. So maybe, and this one I hate, but think about seating charts, not for the whole event, but for maybe activities, or maybe, setting people into different groups where they're not with those they normally interact with. That's one thing you can do. I want you to think about if you have people that are really struggling to understand the agency culture, if you've got new employees or people who are introverted, one thing you can do before the retreat is to create like little badges or pins or something with a bunch of different things, like I love dogs, or I love Harry Potter, or I know how to do pivot tables in Excel or something like that. So when people check in, they can pick up the badges and attach them to their lanyards. And then as they're going around the day, they see people who are strangers to them, most likely, if we're having a huge retreat. But they can say, oh, I have that in common with that person. It's a quick visual way. And so then that makes people, they're no longer strangers. They have something they can connect on and can start communicating on. So that's a real great, quick, easy way. It takes a little preparation, but it can give you a lot of positive results. Then let's talk about gamification. And I'm giving you this one. So gamification is where you take something, you make a game out of it, so people will do it, and then they learn something from it. So if you have people who are, maybe there's been a reorganization, or maybe someone's taken on a lot of new job responsibilities or something like that, new employees where they don't know enough people, or they don't know how to collaborate or who they need to collaborate with, you can create a mentorship opportunity for the day. And you can pair up more seasoned workers with those who are newer, or however you want to set that up. And then it's the more seasoned person's job to introduce that person to as many people as they can and help them build their network, help them collaborate, help them see what they would need that person for. And then at the end of the day, you give points for how many people they introduced them to. You give points for, do they have action items? Like, what are they going to do when they get back to the office? How are they going to collaborate with this person? And then the team with the most points wins. So that's a way to kill two birds with one stone, or three, really, because then as a supervisor, you can say, ooh, I know so-and-so was going to coordinate with this person. I'm going to check up on that and see how it went and see if they need anything else. So it's a great way to combine all that together. So, and then again, eat meals together. We've got that on there so many times. Okay, here is your, if you've got specific issues, here are a few activities you can do. So if you're struggling with communication, can you hear me now? This is like, you tell people how to draw something, and then they have to like really listen, really pay attention so that they know what it is they're drawing. And then at the end, you can, everyone shares what they drew. In so many words, this is one where you just start off with like, okay, in 20 words, tell me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay, now in 10 words, now in 5 words. And then you have this discussion, this what, so what, now what, of how much communication is too much communication, and how much is too little, and where's the sweet spot, and what do we need to do to be better at that. It's a great way to learn about communication. Connection. Hacks and habits. I love this one. This is like, okay, every week someone on the team gives an idea of like, this is a habit that I do. This is a hack that I've learned. And everyone needs to try it for the week. So listen to this new Teddy Swims album, or try this recipe for vegetarian lasagna, or do a funny walk every time you go get a snack, whatever it is. And then you come back and debrief and talk about, like, you know, and then we're laughing and that type of stuff. We have speed teaming, which is like speed dating, but don't date your coworkers. Don't fall in love. We're not doing any of that. But this is getting to know people. So you're saying things like, okay, 2 minutes with this person, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, or whatever. And it gives you the opportunity to get super fast, really great discussion within 2 to 3 minutes, and then move on to someone else. So that's a super fun one as well. Trust. If you're struggling with trust, I have these colleague courses on here again, where we're learning about people's hobbies and about their expertise, and we're trying to find out from them, like, what do they enjoy? That actually builds trust. And then I'm going to give you this one, and I feel like some of you are going to roll your eyes. Dungeons and Dragons, or board games, strategy team board games. I'm not telling you that you should be playing a 6-month Dungeons and Dragons campaign. That is probably, you know, not in our workload, but anything where you can work together as a team to accomplish a goal. So if you all have to work in order to meet that end goal, that's why Dungeons and Dragons is really good. Some of us, it's like, well, why would I ever play that game? And that's okay too. So if you can think of games like that where you're trying to work together, that builds trust. Conflict. This is like, what would you do? Give people, I've got a whole lot of questions, like of what you would do questions linked. So you'll be able to go through it. Ask people and get people's opinions on funny things, on stupid things, on important things, and then talk through it as well. Make-believe mediations. This is a role-playing. I've got the explanations in the slide deck. So recognize if you're not a role player, maybe that's not for you, but that is something to consider. Now, this last one on here, I debated whether to put on, but I did. Questions to fall in love. Now, this is the title of the activity. I'm not telling you to fall in love with your teammates and your coworkers. That is not the intention. So, but that's just the name of the activity. So a few years ago, the New York Times published a list of questions that you can ask, any two people can ask each other to fall in love. And the psychologists say this works really well. So, but it also, and the reason why it works is it builds you on a super fast track to intimacy. So, and connection and understanding and knowing each other. So I've given you a link to that as well. So if you've got people who just don't like each other, have them do that. Again, I'm sending out the slide deck. Here's all of the links. So you've got all of these for you, and you can go to every single one of these and find more information as well as the stuff I talked about. So here's our conclusion. Laughter, we're talking about mirthful laughter, humor, joy, play. These are the things that build connection, the things that work in our brain to help us be more creative and more innovative. And so this is going to increase all of those things on your team. And I really want to encourage you to find at least one, hopefully a lot more, because I've given you a ton of resources, and something that would really work for your team. All right. So tail end, here you go. Remember, sign up for our YouTube channel. And then also our no off the shelf in July. There will be an off the shelf in August. Dr. Dan Chase is doing it. It's going to be amazing. So we want you to sign up for that. Phew, I got through it all, but I was 39 seconds over. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it so much. And you guys have a fantastic rest of your day.